organic meat sack that runs.
Alrighty. So, I had to really laugh while I was on vacation. I've got a couple of good Disney stories, and then I'll show you guys something about Disney World, about what's just unreal that it actually has to exist. Vacation was great. I actually managed to go. I drove down by myself. So I had the car down there. I had everybody's luggage. I'm going to make fun of my wife here for a second, and then I'm going to get myself in trouble, but that's okay. My wife hasn't flown without me in the better part of a decade. My wife didn't know how the hell to get out of the airport. First of all, I don't know how she managed this, but she got out of the airport in the wrong terminal. And then she's calling me from ground transportation, and I'm like, no, you need to go to arrivals. She went from ground transportation to departures. So luckily, I just pulled up next to a guy. He's like, you have to keep moving. I was like, look, my family is stuck in the airport. They don't know how to get out. And the guy's just like, I don't, he's like, I don't understand. I'm like, they don't, I can't find them. They can't find themselves in the airport. So that was the only, all things considered, that was the only bad part, was that they were stuck. They were stuck on arrival. And I was in the Southwest terminal. They had somehow gotten themselves over to the American Delta United terminal. But what I think is really funny is the amount of crime that happens at Disney World. And then I thought about it for a second. Appreciate that Prime sub. I'm going to talk a little bit about where all the money's going to be going soon. I was thinking about this. There's an awful lot of crime at Disney World. And I was like, there's a disproportionate amount of crime. There's a whole ass webpage, Walt Disney World Active Crime. You lost your rental keys, sat forever late at night in Disney offices. Whoa, really? That sucks. Were you at like a Airbnb or a timeshare or something? See, I have a rule about Disney, and I have a rule about Universal. If I'm at Disney, I'm in the bubble. If I'm at Universal, I'm in the bubble. Now, if I go to like SeaWorld, I don't stay at their properties. But once I drove back into the bubble, oh yeah, no hotel outside of the area. Yeah, that sucked. That would suck. Impossible. Natural law prevents crime from being prevented at Disney. Yeah, let me show you some of these. Tron Q incident. Man accused of voyeurism in Tron line at Magic Kingdom. A 21-year-old man is facing a felony charge after he was accused of secretly recording under a woman's skirt while she waited in line for Tron. The case involves Ryan Yasin Bofaker, who is listed with one count of video voyeurism. What they don't tell you in this story, well, he was a chaperone for a kid's field trip, which is fucked up anyway. I have to zoom in for this because this is how stupid this guy is. According to the affidavit, Bofaker described the video as approximately 15 seconds long, and he told the deputies he intended to keep it for sexual gratification. When deputies asked whether there were additional concerning images or videos on his phone, he declined to answer without an attorney present. Don't you think that maybe you should have shut the fuck up before you admitted to a felony? One count of video voyeurism. Disney-linked context submission accuses Walt Disney World Active Crime of doxing after a public police report citation. They said because you listed a security guard's name, you doxed him. Public records are not doxing. Now, public records can be doxing depending on how you're presenting the material. If you take something that is behind a agreement checkbox, and this happened to an individual in the Ashes of Creation community a couple of years ago. If there's a box for consent, I agree to that whole long list of things that nobody ever reads anyway, but it usually says, you agree that you're not going to share this information, share the personal information, and you check that box, well, then you have to redact the information. Now, I'm not going to get into these people's chili because I don't know how they got the information. But that individual that got upset, he even admitted, yeah, I made a mistake because the box says I agree not to share this personal information when I access the form. Yes, it's a public record, but you made an agreement. Blocked at the gate, how Disney security system allegedly identified a trespass guest returning to Epcot. The guy got banned and he tried to return the next day. Flamingo Crossings sees more underage drinking arrests involving Disney College Program cast members. What I will say is, I had the opportunity to speak to a lot of graduating DCP people. The Disney College Program, I want to give a shout out to a lot of them over the weekend. A lot of them talked to my 20-year-old daughter. They told her the good, the bad, and the ugly about the program. The ones that were officially working on duty, of course, they had nothing but good things to say. They said the DCP is great. You get your choice of like rooms, how you're going to live, this, that, the other. It was good for her to hear that because she's interested in doing it. The ones that we talked to that were done with the program and they had no interest in working at Disney, we happened to ride a Skyliner with a couple of them. They gave us some insights, which are fair. They're totally fair. Obviously, these people have decided not to pursue a career with Disney for whatever reason. I will say, I think it's pretty crappy, right? That you join the Disney College Program and you can end up in janitorial or you can end up in retail sales. I think maybe Disney needs to look at the DCP and consider maybe food service and janitorial and retail sales maybe aren't great places to put DCP people. Retail sales, maybe if they're going to do sales for a couple of months, they're going to cashier for a month, they're going to stock for a month, and then they're going to get into like ordering and managing and scheduling and all the logistics piece. But I think if you're bringing 20,000 Disney College Program kids down and you're making them be janitors, servers, and sales clerks, there might be a validity to some of their complaints. The one that made me smile most of all, though, is while we were down there, because I like to read all the Disney news while I'm there. Woman attacks Disney World restaurant manager over seating arrangement, gets a lifetime ban. Deputies escorted a woman inside Steak 71 restaurant at the Contemporary Resort. They revealed a female guest was arrested after battering 2 cast members. She threw glasses of water at the manager because the large party couldn't be accommodated at a single table. 3 cups filled with ice and water at the manager, which struck the front of his body. She forcibly removed his name tag from his suit jacket and walked away. The second victim, she informed the group could not move tables to sit together. She grabbed the Disney manager by both shoulders and forced her to move approximately 6 steps. 4 glasses were broken during the incident. What is wrong with people? Like what is wrong with human beings? What is wrong? You're at the happiest place on earth. and you're acting like a motherfucking jackal. And it's just unfucking real to me. The customer is always right. You know, I wish people knew the whole phrase, because the customer is always right about what they want to buy. The customer is not always right. The customer is always right about what they want to buy. I laughed. I saw a great video. Lady is standing outside of a nail salon. She's the first customer in line. A person walks up and tries to put her hand on the door. The place isn't open. Person walks up, trying to put her hand on the door, and the lady says, "Excuse me, there's a line." So the girl just gets behind her. Another person walks up and tries to put her hand on the door, and the lady's like, "Excuse me, I'm first." The two are behind her talking, and one of them says loudly, "Wonder when she's going to figure out that we're the staff and we're here to open the door." Like, the level of rude that, because I don't see much. I told you guys, I'm a recluse. I don't go out much. There's a little market in my town. I go to Dollar General. I go to medical appointments, which I have a ton of this week. I have a ton of medical appointments. That's why I'm late this morning, and I got to leave at my normal time, because I have 2 medical appointments today and 1 on Wednesday. But it shocks me, the level of rude that's going on. It's unreal. I tried not to look at the news while I was gone. I tried only to look at Disney news. I did happen to catch somebody shot at the White House. 20 to 30 rounds of ammo fire at the White House. He was killed and a bystander was wounded, I think is what I saw. I think I saw that while it popped up on I forgot to disable all my show prep alerts that are on my phone. I saw a couple of bits and bobs from my Discord of things falling apart in the world. What the fuck is going on with, like, everything? In sales, I would talk, customer doesn't come in knowing what they want, so suggest things to them. Right, suggest. It's LVLL. Listen, validate, lead, learn, lead. I don't think I had any. Oh, I did have one. My daughter, I'll get to yours in a second. My daughter has OCD. I share a little bit about my daughter. I don't share all of her problems, but my daughter has OCD. My daughter cannot be in a hotel room that ends. She can't live in an apartment, can't be in a hotel room if it ends in an odd number. It's documented. We have documentation of this. Like, my daughter is flipping out because she has a 15 appointment. Even if the doctor's office wants to see her at 11:15, they book her for 10 or 20. They'll book her for 20 and they'll take her at 15. While we're driving in the car, I can't have the fan on 3. I have to have it on 2 or 4. I can't have the volume on 9 or 11. I have to have it on 10 or 12. She's got crippling OCD. It's about odd numbers. So I went to the front desk and I said, "Hey, I'm checking in. Is there any way?" And they're like, "We already got you." They like, "Your notes in your file. We already have you. You're in a even number ending room." I said, "Thank you so much." Everything that I had to deal with Disney about. Oh, the date that I went to Fantasmic, it rained. We do the meal. We do the little meal thing. And that gets you preferred seating. It rained that night. You had to wait in line to get compensation. All around me, people are fucking screaming at the cast members. And they called next. I walk up to the girl. I say, "So you're having a bit of a day?" The lady before me had like screamed at her. So I just walked up and said, well, you're having a bit of a day. And he looked at me and said, take a deep breath. I am not one of these people. And she kind of laughed and she took a deep breath. I said, this is my situation. I said, here's my magic band. So you can see. I said, scan me in and you tell me what you can do for me. And she looked at it and all she said is, she said, Mr. J, I see that you're coming back to Hollywood Studios on this day. Can we put you on the electronic list for Fantasmic that night? I said, absolutely. That was it. All these other fucking people are in there screaming at the top of their lungs. I'm like, yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. And I said, may I take a picture of your name tag so I can put you in for a cast compliment? I was in and out in 2 minutes. All these other people are in there screaming at the top of their lungs. It's like, guys, they're offering you a $15 gift card. The meal you got was more than $45. They're offering you a $15 gift card per person that ate. They're offering you free lightning lanes, or they're offering you a reschedule for Fantasmic. What's hard about this? What's difficult here? People are assholes anymore. Now,
I wonder if the organic meat.
Not that one. This one. Mental health crisis, gonna blow up. You lost a friend to suicide last month. I feel for you. There is a lot of people there are a lot of people that are in dire straits right now. I know that I've just spent the last about 20 minutes talking about Disney and I'm going back to Disney in 3 weeks. I have multiple vacations scheduled this year. As I told people at the end of last year, beginning of this, people, I might lose my feet. I have a doctor's appointment. My hands are good. My spine is okay, and my feet are still in a state of crisis, if they can save them or not. The left one is getting kind of bad. So I scheduled a bunch of vacations this year because they gave us annual passes. So I love Disney. That's what I'm doing. The problem is there are people, like, I watched a lady lose her shit yesterday in Dollar General. I appreciate that. I watched a lady completely lose her shit in Dollar General yesterday. She's trying to buy groceries. Now, if I wasn't already helping 3 other families on a pretty regular basis, plus my family and my extended family, I would have reached into my wallet and helped this woman pay for her groceries. But what really pissed me off about her was her entitlement. Like, we're in Dollar General. It's $23 worth of groceries. Now, if you guys know me, you know $23. I would have just paid for it. I would have just walked up, tapped my Discover, said, God bless, have a good day. Part of God bless, have a good day, but also God bless, get the fuck out of here. Dollar General has a record of changing prices from shelf to register. Oh no, you're absolutely right. Absolutely. And that's another thing that's absolutely wrong. I ran into that down in Florida. I went into Florida. I left my watch charger here on my desk. I went to 7 places to find this little bastard because I thought I had left my charger in a hotel room. And so I needed my watch charger. I'm running around all over hell and creation looking for it. And what kind of pissed me off was I got into Walmart, and I hate those electronic shelf tags now. Because what the fuck? I also found out there's another scam. By the way, there's another scam you guys need to be aware of. Let me see if I can pull up an email real quick so I can show you guys what the scam is. Because this is fucking terrible. Southwest Airlines is what I need. So if you get an email that has prices in it, right? So you get an email. I'm going to take off my confirmation number. But you get an email that looks like this, and it has all of your fees and all of this. Screenshot it, print it, keep a hard copy. I didn't know this. And one of you smarter people, I'm hoping you can tell me what's going on. When they send you that information, and then they send you this piece of the information right here, they can change the information in your email because your email pulls the data when you reopen the email. I don't like that at all. I fell victim to that as well. They send me an email, yet the email can update, and then you don't have a permanent copy. I don't like that. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if there's a way to stop that on my end. I got to talk to the computer people that I know that are smarter than me. But that's just how shitty life is getting. Like, booked my wife and my daughter. I'm flying down in 3 weeks. I'm supposed to drive, but this drive took a lot out of me due to my health. So I booked to fly down, and I booked my tickets. I booked my seats. I was booking my daughter. My daughter kind of struggled with the drive home. So I said, okay, well, we have an ass ton of points. Let me fly the wife and the daughter home. I didn't pick seats at Southwest, and it said seats will be assigned at check-in. It's easy, email them the check. But it said seats will be assigned at check-in. But the tier of tickets I bought allow you to pick your seats. How do you sell a tier of tickets that allows you to pick your seats but allow the customer to skip that process? Could you imagine my daughter and my wife's situation, getting to the airport and finding out they're not sitting next to each other? Oh, that ain't gonna fly. Also, let me see if I can find this one. Stupid people. Yeah, or in an odd row. Right, exactly. Did you guys see this level of crazy bullshit? Let me skip through the ad. This was the next level of fucking bullshit. What is wrong with people?
Out of Newark had to return to the airport because a passenger named their Bluetooth device, get this, bomb.
We have one passenger that seems to be making a funny joke that isn't so funny, and it's going to be compromising the safety of this flight.
Other passengers say the crew repeatedly asked everyone to turn off their devices. The flight was headed to Spain. It turned around about an hour into the trip. The pilot said the passenger would be arrested.
Like, how the fuck are you so dumb that you're gonna name your Bluetooth device bomb? Average Asmongold chatter. Some of them, yeah. Like, I had the joke for a while in my neighborhood. One of my routers, one of my bands was named FBI van number 5157. And people were flipping out about that. Why is the FBI in the neighborhood? And I just laughed. When 5G came out, I renamed one of my devices 5G Tower. People were flipping out. They're like, there's not supposed to be a 5G tower in our town. Because my town was They were all fucking crazy about it. We have shit internet service. And so I named it that and people were flipping out. But I would never be dumb enough. You don't even make a joke about a bomb at the airport. Like, remember I've said on this show many times, stereotypes are stereotypes because they're more likely rather than less likely to be true. Right? Stereotypes aren't bad. Discrimination based on stereotypes are bad. I'm not going to make a joke about a bomb. Right? Someone's router near you is called Diddy Party. That's funny. That's good. That makes me smile. Someone should rename. You should rename your router then 1,000 bottles of baby oil. Or even better, you should name yours Baby Oil Delivery Van. What the fuck's going on? But no, like, this is what's fucked up. Like, my state, I avoided news in my state. My state now has passed a law. I wonder if they had named that prior and didn't even remember they did. It's possible. But when the pilot gets on and they say, everybody disable your Bluetooth devices, or you know what? I wonder, that actually could be true. I might have to dig into that story if I can. I wonder if maybe somebody had like a device that they didn't remember they had, like, because I have my Kindle, my watch, my phone, my daughter's hearing aids. Like, my daughter could have her hearing aids named something stupid and maybe not think about it. I did see my state. This pissed me off about my state. Illinois Senate passes bill requiring speed control devices for reckless drivers. A proposal headed to J.B. Pritzker's desk could help address high speeders across the state. The bill requires drivers who commit 2 offenses within a year to install the speed limiting device. This comes as 75% of suspended people with suspended licenses continue to drive.
Ashton was a high-level athlete. She was, even at 5. We started noticing.
Slowing down speeders in the state. A proposal heading to the governor's desk addresses the issue. Sponsors advocates want an intelligent speed assistance program with the Secretary of State's office, alternative to license suspensions for drivers who are dangerous. The bill requires drivers who commit 2 offenses in a year to install this limiting device in their vehicle. 75% of people, the Secretary of State says, with suspended license continue to drive.
A bill in which that allows people to go to work, avoid a suspended license on a volunteer basis and pay for it is something that I encourage and I vote for.
No, the Secretary of State would notify drivers that their license will be suspended unless they complete the program. Participants will also pay a $30 a month fee to use the limiter.
So I was trying to explain this and my daughter listened. I was really thankful I had the time to talk to my daughter in the car. So I tried to explain to my daughter, if 75% of people ignore suspended licenses, why won't they just rip out a speed limiter? Yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. That's part of my problem. So what I tried to explain to my kid was the speed limit is 70 miles an hour. I don't think people understand just how fast you're moving at 70 miles an hour. Like, people are like, oh, I'm moving 70 miles an hour. Yeah, you are. You're moving 1.17 miles per minute. When you're speeding at 75 miles an hour, you're only going 1.25 miles a minute. Okay? So, and people are like, well, I have somewhere to be. You're only going 0.08 miles more a minute. But for most people, 70 to 75 becomes the range in which they can no longer control their vehicle. I think part of it is that we need to teach people. Like my daughter asked me, I don't speed. I go 4 over max. That's it. My daughter called me out on it because I don't speed. I may accelerate to pass a truck or something if I need to get the shit out of the way, but I don't race down the highway at 80 miles an hour. My daughter, she's like, you're going 74. I'm like, yep. She's like, but you're speeding. I said, slightly, yes. I said, because the 4 miles an hour over 14 hours covers all of our brakes. She's like, what do you mean? I said, because I get 4 extra miles per hour. We're in the car for 14 hours. So the time I lose putting gas in the car, letting you guys go to the bathroom, letting you guys pick snacks, getting the Chick-fil-A, all that shit, I make that up with the 4 miles an hour over 14 hours. He's like, but you get on my ass when I do 74, 75. Yeah, because you don't have the 14 hours of you're going 74 here 2 rows down the road. Now, my daughter also noticed in Georgia, I hit the Georgia line, 0 over. Anybody live in Georgia? 0 over in Georgia. Because their highway patrol doesn't give a fuck. They'll write you for 2 if you're out of state. And Georgia people will tell you that. They don't give a shit. Yeah, Georgia State Patrol will fuck you up. 2. Lock that shit in on the number. Georgia State Patrol, they're funny too, right? They will get behind you, flash their lights when you move over, and then they'll just keep going. They just want you the fuck out of their way. They're going somewhere important. Now, what you said, if 75% of people ignore suspended licenses, why won't they just rip out a speed limiter? Because generally, the average person can't remove a governor or a speed limiting device or a breathalyzer. A mechanic can. Like my father-in-law could, my father could. I probably could, but it would take me the better part of a day or two to track all the wiring. My father-in-law could probably take out a governor in a straight governor in an hour. An interlock device, maybe 2 or 3, if he's familiar with the install process. My dad, at his age, would probably need all day to do it because he's losing a little bit. I would need the better part of a day or 2 to trace all the wiring. But you're right. People will just rip them out. Unless you're going 80 and a 30, the time saved by going fast on the interstate is only like seconds if you're late to work. It's not worth it. It's only making you feel better. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, over 9 in your mind, State Highway Patrol. Yeah. It's just not worth it. And then what I say to people is like, I was driving with 5 suitcases, a backpack, a Tupperware box, about 4 pillows. That's going to be the sort of shit that they're like, everybody get out of the car. We're bringing the dog. It's just not fucking worth it. Like 4 over, you'll get away with. You'll get away with 4. More than that, it's like I see people all the time getting pulled over. And then they're mad. They're like angry. Or somebody will get there and they're like, yeah, I'm sorry I'm late. I got a ticket. Well, why? Like today, I was going to my medical appointment and I've been out of town. I didn't know they closed the ramp to the mall. You can't get going towards the mall. You can't get off. I had to go down to the next exit, turn around and come back. Well, I get everywhere 15 minutes early. For a reason. For this reason. For this exact reason. Let's see. It wouldn't surprise me if Germany puts speed limits on all autobahns soon, and it's become an internet of the car. It has become an internet trend to drive as fast as possible. Yeah. I-93 up here is 65. Average speed is 85, and none of the SPs will bat an eye, or none of the state patrol will bat an eye. Yeah. Mainly because, like, there was one place I saw everybody speeding their ass off, and I was like, yeah, they're gonna do that because you can't give anybody a ticket here because you'll back up traffic for hours. If you really cared about speed, you would have ripped out the spare tire in the back seats to reduce the weight of the car. Don't need airbags either. Also true. It's kind of funny. I have a spare tire on the bottom of my Journey, and I actually don't even know if it's inflated. I probably need to have the guys check it. I gotta take my car in for its brakes. I love driving through the mountains. I hate the fucking wear and tear it puts on my brakes. So. Oh, by the way, I love Ignorant Americans. Ignorant Americans says, I don't know why people say Aldi is a German company. They don't even have Aldi in Germany. I'm like, not only do they have Aldi, they have 2 different brands of Aldi in Germany. Americans make me laugh. Aldi is precision German fucking engineering. I love Aldi. Aldi has four aisles. They have a whole damn grocery store in 4 aisles. You go into the cereal section, there's a healthy selection of cereal. They just don't have 9 rows of cornflakes. They have 1 row of cornflakes, 10 deep. When you take a box of cornflakes, somebody eventually in the next 20 minutes will come along and put a box of cornflakes up. Guess what? When you're in an Aldi, they put the boxes, they put the shit for the shelves in the aisle. If you need something and it's not on the shelf, you can go onto the pallet and take what you need. It's highly encouraged. It's allowed. They don't mind. They want to sell the food they have. U.S.-Iran ceasefire being tested on multiple fronts as negotiations drag on. Are we really still screwing around with this ceasefire? Iran's Guard Corps launches retaliatory strikes after U.S. attacks. You think that Donald Trump is just manipulating the stock market with the Iran war for his friends at this point? You know, hey, what's up there? I have to agree with you. Because what time did I get back? Oh, I got back at like 10 on Saturday. I was done bringing the stuff in from the car about 10 on Saturday. Took me all day yesterday, or 10 on Friday. Nearly a deal every weekend, then they start blasting every Monday and Tuesday. Yeah. I had medical appointments today. I have 2 today, 1 on Wednesday. My wife has 1 tomorrow. My car's got to go in on Thursday. I got a busy week this week. You know, I don't really like going out to this many I don't like this many appointments. But by the way, folks, well, hold on. I'm back at Disney in 3 weeks. I'm back at Disney on Father's Day. So this first trip was just the appetizer. Because I took my daughter who needs more time. I didn't take the kid. I mean, I took both the kids. It was just the short trip. Well, it was the long trip. I shouldn't say that. It was the long trip. But I'm going. Okay, so I canceled Universal for this month, and then I'm gonna fly. So when I canceled Universal, I added 1 day at Disney, and now that I'm flying, I added another 1 day at Disney. I was supposed to be at Disney for 3 days. Now it's 5 days. Go ahead and plan that $7,000. It'll only cost you 10. It'll be the best $15,000 you've ever spent. There's just a bunch of little things I want to do, in case, like I said, I mean, I figure that if I lose my feet, it'll probably take me 2 or 3 years to get used to the prosthetics. So, at least I try to look at everything with a positive light. If I lose my feet and I go to Disney after I get my prosthetic legs, at least my feet won't hurt, right? I mean, you got to look at the upside of everything, right? So, special loading areas. Actually, did you know there's not? At Walt Disney World, there's special for the ride cars, yeah. But this is what's weird at Disney World. At Disney, do they have one for Haunted Mansion? Oh yeah. Haunted Mansion, you go in the exit and then you load. You load in the back and then you come. But you have to roll through the regular loading area, right? I think that's how, like, you get on kind of at the back. A couple of them do. I think it's good what Disney has done. Disney has fully embraced the Americans with Disabilities Act. And they've said, okay, we'll make all of our ride queues handicap accessible. They can't fix Pirates of the Caribbean. Haunted Mansion, they can't fix. Oh yeah, Haunted Mansion they can't fix because of that narrow turnaround. But yeah, that is correct. If you can't transfer, you go up through the exit. But I think it's great what they've done. I think it's great that for Tron, they actually have the ride cars that you drive in on the back. Just make sure they don't shorten it too much so you're not under height for the ride. Actually, next, what I've talked to the doctor about is that if I have to lose my feet and have prosthetics put on, I want to cheat by that ½ inch so that I can actually be 6 foot, because I'm 5'11 and a half. So I always say I'm 5'11. So I'm going to be like, hey, doc, I spent the first part of my life at 5'11 and a half saying I was 5'11. Can you give me a ½ inch lift on the prosthetics so I can say I'm 6 foot and not have 6 foot people say, no, you're not? Let's see. Newark sets curfew around ICE jail after more clashes between cops and protesters. Newark officials have set a curfew around the area for an ICE facility that has been the focus of intense protests and clashes between law enforcement and demonstrators over the past week. The curfew is in effect for a half-mile radius around Delaney Hall detention centers. The curfew took effect midnight Sunday and will be in place between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. until further notice. Meanwhile, the city has also closed Dormis Avenue, the corridor at the heart of the industrial section, to all pedestrians and all vehicle traffic that isn't on official business. Okay, this right here is gonna make people mad, but this is Gestapo level shit that I'm absolutely against. Official business? My First Amendment rights are official fucking business. My right to peacefully assemble is official business. My right to take photographs at 2:30 in the morning is official business. My right to stand there and speak on a soapbox is official business. What we have now, multiple individuals have already been arrested and found in possession of weapons, underscoring the seriousness of the threat. This is the other problem. If you're bringing a weapon to a protest, if you're bringing a weapon to an assembly, you're no longer peacefully assembling. You're protesting, and protesting is against the law. Words matter. Like, did you know? I didn't know this. I knew this, but I'd forgotten this. Did you know the word annihilate? Annihilate sounds, right? Annihilate sounds like it's a massive loss, right? I'm sorry. The word decimate. The word decimate. You're like, and their forces were decimated. Decimated actually has a numerical value. Your forces are decimated if you lose 10% of your forces. If you lose more than 10% of your forces, then yeah, then you don't use the word decimate. Decimate is only if you lose 1/10 of your forces. Words matter. I think that we have a society. We have a society that needs to get way more educated. Way more educated. Colin Powell said when I was a younger man, Colin Powell said, good manners will take you further than a good education. I want to look at the context. And then Clarence Thomas tweaked it and said, good manners will open doors that the best education cannot. I think that we need to go back to teaching kids manners. We need to go back to teaching, like, I believe we need to teach kids to read, but you know what I'd like to do before we teach kids to read? I'd like to teach kids to be polite. I'd like to teach kids to not be assholes. I saw this last couple of days while I was scrolling TikTok. Parents that are mad that their kids aren't graduating, and the parents are acting like it's the first time that they've been told their kid is struggling in school. One parent was up at the school 2 days before graduation, pissing and moaning that the teacher wouldn't give the kid extra credit. The teacher said, there's only 181 days in the school year, and I sent you 174 emails. You never engaged with me. I've been sending you an email every single day about your kid. There's a teacher who quit a school because the school said you have to give the kid a C so the kid can graduate. The teacher said, absolutely not. In fact, the kid has an F. I've already notified the district that the kid has an F, just in case the administration here tries to change the grade. I've notified the Regional Board of Education the kid has an F. I've notified the State Board of Education that the kid has an F. And I've notified them that you're just passing kids that can't read, can't write, can't do math. Goodbye. I'm leaving. I'm out. How are we this bad? See if I grabbed the UCLA video. Because you guys saw the one video about the... You guys saw the video about the high school kid who was making fun of his classmates. And people were like, oh, well, he shouldn't be doing that. He's going to get suspended. He deserves to get suspended. Okay. I don't know why we're going to suspend a kid for making a very, very good pointed video about his classmates' inability to read. But let's look at UCLA.
The Beneficari tried to ambush the extortion scheme.
What does that mean?
I don't even know. I can't say that. Tried to ambush the extortion scheme.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
The university student procured an off-campus accommodation via the platform Unishack. Unishack does that?
We're in such a fucking shit state. How is it even possible that your students read English worse than 6th grade school children over here? That is a great question. Okay, so yes, a world leader in education and research excellence is how UCLA labels themselves. That had to be fake. Nope, it's not fake. There are people who literally can't read. You graduated in 83. I had to proofread my classmates' paper senior year. My classmates couldn't write a sentence that could be understood. Yep. Okay, so I am not pontificating that every child should go to Catholic education. But what I'm telling you is that my whole education, except for my engineering degree, all of my education from preschool to the conclusion of my master's degree was Catholic education. Catholic grade school, Catholic high school, Catholic university for undergraduate and graduate school. We had to read. We had weekly mass. Each class, and we had 2 classes. We had 2 of every grade. Each class hosted a mass, either 8 o'clock mass or 9 o'clock mass. The kindergartners really didn't. And then the saints days, the celebration days, the all school masses, the novenas, the stations of the cross, you had to go up there and read them. If you couldn't read, the whole congregation knew you can't read. So you would get assigned, like, Jay, you're reading the 3rd station of the cross. So the teacher would give you the reading, and they would send a note home. The parents knew you were reading the 3rd station of the cross at the novena this week. Your parents would be like, okay, we're having dinner. They'd be like, aren't you reading the 3rd station of the cross? Yeah, go get it. So it's Monday night. Stations are Friday. You're reading that Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday night. You're reading that at least 4 times to your parents, because your parents don't want to be embarrassed when your dumbass is up there and you can't read. And for some of us that were altar servers, we had to read that shit in Latin. And now we have kids that can't read the word embellish. I literally watched people. Do you know how embarrassing it has to be for a person who's on vacation and the cast member says, the sign's right there? Now, I totally get down, okay? My sister-in-law is English as a second language. My sister-in-law spoke Polish until she was an adult, and then she's learned English since. The signs aren't in Polish, they're in Spanish and English. I totally get it if you have a foreigner that asks a question because they can speak English but they can't read English. That's a different story. I had a couple of people, like always, ask me a question. I rock a lot of Disney gear. A lot of people ask me a lot of questions. And they're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, over there. I get it. But you have Americans who are clearly Americans that can't read. Like, for example, there are 3 signs on the way up to the Skyliner. Double wide strollers must be folded prior to getting in line. All fucking there's 3 of them. The signs start about 50 feet before the line. There's a cast member saying it. Break down that stroller, and they still get in line. Like, look, you're either illiterate or ignorant. Makes sense. I can speak some Japanese but cannot read it. Right, exactly. And it's our own fault. It's our own fault. For example, I understand that we have people that are on unemployment. I don't think people should get unemployment to sit on their ass at home and do nothing. I think people who are on unemployment should be going to the job center every single day. That should be their job. Your job is to report to the job center every single day. Filling out applications, going to interviews, and when you're not doing those things, getting remedial education. I don't even comprehend how you have natives in your country that can go through the whole education system without knowing how to read. It's because It's so pathetic, but we don't force people. Yeah, it isn't required. There are many school districts that, so where we have a problem, right? So the school board sits above the administration. To be the superintendent, you have to have a master's degree in my state. I'm going to use Illinois. To be the superintendent, you have to have a master's degree and a 75. A type 75 certificate can only be attached to a master's degree, and it requires 4 years of teaching experience. So in order to be the superintendent of schools, the bare minimum is a master's degree, a 75 certificate, 4 years of teaching experience, which also means you have a teaching certificate. That's the bare minimum. There is no requirement for any education to sit on the school board. In my town, we have a woman as the president of the school board who doesn't even have a GED. The president of our school board doesn't even have a GED, and she's telling the superintendent, who has a PhD and an EDD, he's got a PhD in his subject matter, and he has a doctorate of education in educational administration. So we have an uneducated, ignorant ass motherfucker who's popular telling a guy who's academically elite how to run the school system. That shit's gotta go. That shit's gotta stop. School board policy. If the parents don't want the child retained, the school has to promote the kid. Fucking bullshit, no. If the child did not make passing marks, the only way you can promote your child is by putting them in alternative education. Period, dot. Period, dot. End of story. Because when you have a kid who can't read, can't write, can't wipe his own ass in the class, as a former teacher, 10% of the students take up 90% of our time. But when you're in a good district that takes those children out of your classroom, grades go up, performance goes up, because then I can spend more time on the other 29 kids. Well, the other 27 kids. I have 30 students. 3 of them take up 90% of my time. You take out those 3 kids, now my time gets better equally distributed. See, I didn't have a problem with this. I was called mean, I was called strict, I was called stern. I had the 3 problems, kids. 1, my classroom was like this. Here's my classroom. My desk is in the back of the room. Here's the door to the classroom, right? This kid sat facing this way. This kid sat facing this way. This kid sat facing this way. Fuck off. You're a disruption. You're a pain in my ass. 3 corners of the classroom. That's how I dealt with my 10% of the kids. Corners of the classroom. Guess what? By the end of the year, these 2 kids returned to rank and file rows because after 5 solid months of your education being stare at the fucking wall, they figured it out. I had the parents there. I had all sorts, like, well, I'm going to get a lawyer. Get a lawyer. Go ahead and get a lawyer because this is my file on your kid. This is my daily observation of your child. Go ahead, get your lawyer. Because guess what I got? I got the back of the pastor, the principal. I'm the regional department head, and I got the back of the superintendent of schools. Fuck off. I used to fantasize about putting those parents in a wood chipper. Let them be useful fertilizing our crops. Yeah. Imagine committing your life to education, getting a doctorate, and then being directed by her. Yeah. It's like when I was at my last doctor's appointment, I can hear through the walls at the clinic because they're really thin. Lady was arguing with the doctor. I know my doctor is great. My doctor and I have a great relationship. This guy's amazing. My doctor doesn't make us make an appointment for every single thing. He may look at me on Wednesday and he may say, hey, I'm going to need you to hang out for 30 minutes. Why? Because he's going to be treating too many things for a 15-minute appointment. So he's got to book me into a 30-minute appointment. So I got to sit there. But I'm going to have a list. I have about 9 things I need to talk to my PCM about. And I'm going to walk in with them in priority order. I need to talk to him about that. This is what I need to talk to you about. I don't have to say words. I've got everything written down for him. This guy's amazing. I have a nodule in my lung. I have to get an x-ray every year to make sure it's not growing. It's about that time. I'm sure he's going to know that, but since I'm going anyway, it's on the list. He'll make the appointment. Even if it's for next month, he'll schedule it. The lady's arguing next door that he doesn't tend to her full body care. Full body care. I've walked into this guy's office and I've left with 6 referrals. This guy's amazing. But we're living in the society where people are saying, tell your PCM you don't want to step on the scale. If you're embarrassed about your weight, tell them you don't want to weigh in at every appointment. If your PCM brings up your weight, tell your PCM, I don't want to focus on my weight during this appointment. I have other concerns. Bitch, stop telling people that. Obesity is causing that. It's like, I see pulmonary next week. What's my pulmonologist going to say? High five, Jay. You lost 10 pounds. How you feeling? I still can't breathe. Cool, lose 10 more. Why? Because I still have more weight to lose. But that's his first thing. Why is my pulmonologist's first response going to be, have you lost weight? Because if I lose weight, the amount of fucking fat ass I'm carrying around with me is going to go down. And if it goes down, then maybe, just maybe, I won't have so much strain on my cardiovascular system. Most of the time you're teaching to the lowest. Yeah. Not surprised. You don't need to pass the basic skills test to teach. Why would you need to be a graduate to be on the school board? Right. Now, do I agree that parents have the right to homeschool their kids? Absolutely. Caveat. Homeschooling your children is great if you're using a program so that they get a diploma and they get transcripts. They cost money. But that one girl that did the TikTok video where she's like, and I had to rebuttal it, she's like, you really don't have to teach your kids. You can kind of just let them do whatever they want. No, you stupid fucking moron. If your parents aren't making you learn things and they're not putting you in a structured program, you're going to wind up graduating. And then what's going to happen is nobody's going to take you seriously because you don't have any paper. You don't have any paperwork. You don't have anything. It's a problem. You need to have those things. If you don't have those things, most states still require homeschool children to pass assessment tests, though. Most school districts require them to take standardized tests, which they can opt out of. I don't know how a parent who doesn't have a degree in the subject matter can say the kid understands the subject matter. I wish it was that they were required to pass assessments. I wish it was.
Hi, how are you?
I really do, because these kids are growing up, and then they're completely fucked. They're just completely, totally fucked later on in life. Yeah, here it is. I'm gonna play this because this girl was so adamant that she was right about her knowledge of homeschool education. She was making content all the time about homeschool education. Then I made a video about her. I started commenting on her videos and she blocked me because I actually know what the fuck I'm talking about.
This is your friendly reminder that if you live in the United States of America, you actually don't have to send your children to school, nor do you have to homeschool them. You can actually just kind of allow them to live their life and follow their interests and pursue their dreams. It's what my parents did. Okay, bye.
I was never taught. Compulsory school age between the ages of 7 and 17 shall cause such child. You are required to send your children to school or homeschool them.
What laws there are? I was never taught what laws there are.
Alrighty, as you can see, yes, there is a law that says you have to go to school. Now, granted, that is Illinois law, so I didn't look up all 50 states. I just looked up the state that I'm in. I'm pretty sure that every state has a law that has compulsory education for some age range. Do I think schools are in good shape? No. Do I think schools suck? Absolutely. Are schools preparing kids for the future? Absolutely not. Is that creator over there prepared for the future? No. I don't care how good she thinks her parents are. They did not prepare her. She is not prepared to do a 5-second Google search before you make a piece of content. There you go. All her content is like that. Well, my parents just let me follow and pursue my dreams. Then, like later on, she makes a piece of content. She's like, well, I got to college and I'm not ready for it. Well, who the fuck's fault is that? Who the fuck's fault is that? Like, my child wanted to drop out of high school. I said, I don't think that's a good idea. Remember, my kids, we have a rule, okay? We have a rule in my family. From 0 to 17 years and 364 days, right? They want to do something, they got to give me 3 reasons. On the day they turn 18, all I ask for them is to give me the opportunity to give them 3 reasons. That's all I ask. They want to tell me to go fuck myself, and they don't want to listen to 3 reasons. That's cool. My daughter said, I want to drop out of high school. I said, can I have my opportunity to give you 3 reasons why it's a bad idea? My daughter, I give her a lot of credit. She said, you can, but it's not going to change my decision. I said, then I'm not going to waste my time. She got kind of hurt by that. So I'm not going to waste my time. If you're telling me right now my 3 reasons have 0 chance of changing your mind, do whatever you want to do. But recognize comes with consequences. That's what she's like, what are the consequences? I said, the moment you drop out of school, since your birthday is right at the top of November, I will expect that you can pay your own rent, your own car insurance, your own utilities in the month of November. I won't expect you to be able to pay all of it in October. Starting next month, pay all of it. My daughter spent the next 7 months on it. She never paid a full month shit, ever. She got to February. She realized she couldn't go back to high school. So she got into the GED program. I told her, okay, you're back to your, I'll pay most of it, but you pay some of it. She graduated. I said, congratulations, you have a high school diploma. Pay your own shit. By July, she was out of the apartment I gave her, living with friends because she knew better. By the following year, she was fucked. There's a reason why, right? There's a reason why parents look at their kids and say, that's not a good idea. Right? Carthos and I were talking about this the other day. Kids are dumb. Kids start out dumb. They grow up. Some stay dumb. Some people, they look back and they say, damn, I was dumb. I need to keep my kids from being that dumb. But then your kids fight you the whole way. Like, look, man, I'm trying to stop you from making a bunch of mistakes that I already have the rule book for, and I know you're about to make these mistakes. I'm not saying you can't make mistakes. I'm saying maybe don't put your foot in a wood chipper. Like, I'm trying to save you from being called Stumpy. Right? It's not being mean. It's not being harsh. It's not being cruel. When my daughter moved out of the apartment I gave her, fuck you, you're on your own. 0 help. Why? Because I don't want you living where you're living. I don't want you living with who you're living. So people are like, well, you should have kept supporting your daughter. I would have if she stayed in the apartment a mile from the house. I would have done that. I would have kept supporting her. If I have bag, I have say. If you don't want me to have say, you don't want to touch my bag of gold. I also want to remind a lot of parents, you're not helping your children by masking their bills for them. You paying their car insurance? Fuck that. Give it to them. Hand them the bill. There you go. They're on your phone plan? Fuck them. Give them the bill. Well, they'll struggle. They'll wither. They'll die. Well, maybe intervene before they become homeless or hungry. But if they're going to make stupid decisions and you keep bailing them out, there's a reason why we call the phrase you fuck around this much, you find out this much. You fuck around this much, you find out this much. If they fuck around this much and they never find out at all, then the world shits on them when they do that, and holy shit consequences. Like I said to my daughter, I said, hey, your car smells like weed. You're not 21. You don't have a medical card. Your car smells like weed. First of all, let me address the top level problem. That's not even your car. That's my car. So I don't know who the fuck is smoking weed in my car, but that shit's gonna stop, or you just won't have a car. Because if you get pulled over right now, that cop's gonna walk up to the car. He's gonna smell it. You're getting arrested, right? And they're gonna take you in to do a blood draw. You can't do that, but no, motherfucker, your car stinks of weed so bad, that's his probable cause. That's done deal. My lawyer's not even gonna be able to fight you for that. You're not 21, so your car, first of all, you're not 21 and you don't have a medical card. You're not allowed to smoke weed in your car, period. For those in my state, every state is different. I can smoke weed anywhere the fuck I want. I know some people are like, no, you can't. Yes, I can. I have a medical card. There is only one scenario where I cannot smoke weed while I am actively driving. If I pull over, legally park, I can smoke weed if I have to. And then as long as the amount I smoke is below the threshold, I can go back to driving. I just cannot, and I don't know why. I guess they modeled it right off the alcohol law, and they missed the line. The only thing I cannot do is consume weed while in active operation of a motor vehicle. Immediately afterwards, yes. Just like I could walk into a bar, take a shot, and get right back behind the wheel of my vehicle. Everybody else in the state who doesn't have a medical card, they can only smoke in their private residence or in locations designated for the consumption of marijuana. We have a couple of hash bars. But it's like fighting with people tooth and nail. It's like, okay, I'm getting this back and forth bullshit. I said, okay, how about this? Ready? If you get pulled over and you get pulled out of the car and they impound my car, when I show up, I'm going to get my car and I'm going to leave you where you're at. And you can pay for your own lawyer. Well, I can't pay for a lawyer. Well, I'm not going to pay for a lawyer on this one because I'm Benjamin Franklin. I'm giving you the ounce of prevention. I'm not paying for the pound of cure. It's probably under the hands-free operation law. Can't have a distracted device in your hands. Yeah, but you can smoke a cigarette, which, can we all just agree? Cigarette smoke is fucking gross. The less people that smoke cigarettes now, the more vile cigarette smoke smells. Like, holy shit, we walked out of Animal Kingdom on our Animal Kingdom day. Disney doesn't have smoking areas in the parks anymore. We walked out of Animal Kingdom, the smoking area is right there. I caught a face full of tobacco and I was like, that's gross. Like, I am so thankful that almost everywhere has done away with smoking areas. Also, I want to thank you guys for something. I'm going to take a jump up real quick, but I want to show you guys something, and I'm really, really happy about something. I'll be right back. Less than a minute. already. I don't miss inside smoking being normal. Yeah, like inside smoking being normal was so bizarre to me. It was just so gross overall. I absolutely hated inside cigarette smoke. I just want to thank you guys for all the love and attention that PGN Music has gotten over the years. PGN Music is really, really picking up. I have money to get some albums made. Now I just got to find some composers. I've been running into problems with composers, all trying to like shovel off AI work. I don't mind if they use like pre-existing stems. That's what I'm expecting. But we are radically cranking playtime. It's really amazing how well PGN Music is doing. I don't want to use your AI songs. I don't mind using AI songs, but when I hire a composer, I expect the composer to not use AI music. I'm also very happy to say, well, I'm kind of sad to say this, but I'm really happy to say, we have 5 songs now that have crossed 100,000 plays. For Embers in the Wind, man. Embers in the Wind used to be like our main jam song. Let me just say this: the Japanese love this this Soulmate Silhouette album. The Japanese, somebody in Japan loves it and shared it because it took off and it went crazy. AI music has gotten incredibly good in a very short period of time. It has. And the problem is there is a performer. Her name is Ellie Benke, and she's a really good performer. I have nothing but love for her work. But I think she came out and she kind of stuck her foot in her mouth because she really shit on AI music. And she shit on AI music by saying it's all crap. They should create a crapster. It shouldn't be allowed on Spotify. It shouldn't be allowed on YouTube. They should just create a platform where you know you're listening to AI music because it's not fair. They're training it on music that you love. I said, okay, but you don't know that. I said, if I own 500 jazz tracks, and then I train an AI model on the 500 jazz tracks I own, and then I produce another 2,000 jazz tracks, where was the problem? If I paid composers to make the first 500 tracks, then my AI learned from the work that I gave it. And I absolutely agree. Some of these AI platforms, they trained their models on copyrighted music, which again, that's bullshit. You know, I'm big on intellectual property rights, but I think that people need to sort of moderate what they say and maybe not stick their foot in their mouth. Maybe not come across in a certain light because you have a bias. And it's like I always try to say to people, I have a bias. My bias is this. Like, they start talking about changing Air Force pensions. I have a bias. If they said, we're going to change Air Force pensions so those individuals that served at least 10 years can get concurrent receipt. Yes. Why? Because then I would get an awful lot more money a month. About $3,300 more a month. Yes, I support it. But you're not thinking about, I don't care. It benefits me. Yes. That's a bias. When you say yes to something or no to something before you get all the facts. The AI complaint today is the same complaint made 30 years ago about using a sample and combining samples to make a track. Yeah, exactly. It's like when people say, with jazz specifically, Every combination of jazz chords is in a book. They're called the jazz standards. Every combination of jazz chords. Nobody can come up with anything new. They're all known. So technically everybody is just using like 500 or 700 combinations to make their music. And there's nothing wrong with that. But again, we have an awful lot of people that don't have, like, there's an awful lot of people that shouldn't be in the conversation. And they're in the conversation. Let's see. French Navy, backed by the UK, intercepts Russian oil tanker. Oh, hello. Hello. Oh, hey. Your claws are really sharp because you haven't let me cut them since I've been home. So I'm going to put you down nice and gentle. You're not going to jump, okay? According to France, the tanker, which has sailed from Murmansk, was trying to skirt international sanctions. The French Navy, with support from the United Kingdom, has intercepted an oil tanker suspected of being part of Russians' shadow fleet. It is unacceptable that boats skirt international sanctions, violate the law of the sea, and finance the war that Russia has been waging for more than 4 years against Ukraine. Oh, I'm so glad that somebody remembered there's a war in the Ukraine. I'm so glad that that happened, because as we all know, we kind of all forgot about the news of the Ukraine. People kind of forgot. It's kind of a bad situation that we're in. If we don't focus on the Ukraine war, then in Sweden you just gave 16 Gripens to UK. That's actually, or to Ukraine. That's actually really good. That's what they need, because they have, forgive me if something has happened. They have some F-16s. Their pilots are trained. At first, when they got them, those started making a difference. We're too busy arguing the primer color in the reflecting pool now. Yeah, we're too busy arguing about shit that doesn't matter. Like, for example, I have a friend who's dying, quite literally dying, because she lost her, she lost her medical insurance last year. So she's in a world of shit. But we have enough money to rip down a wing of the White House without having the money secured. And by the way, when it comes to the wing of the White House that was ripped down and that shit going on, I just want to let you know, as a project manager in the military, if I had done that, if I had torn down a building and I didn't have the funding secured for the replacement building, I would be in jail. I would have been prosecuted for dereliction of duty. I don't like the AI cooperating art styles or Ghibli art styles. Yeah, I think we need to come up with rules. But like most things, you know, we can't get laws out ahead of it. People don't wait for permission, they ask for forgiveness. You saw a report this morning that Ukraine folded up a flank on Russia because the Russians were all drunk. Nice. Have I seen the construction of the UFC arena on the lawn? The building looks like a crack shack. Hold on. A crack shack? I don't know, man. I think this looks like Universal Studios took over. This is so stupid. This is so fucking... Guys, elect me king for a decade, and I will fix all this shit. We're not putting up a crack shack on the front of the fucking White House. What is this? Oh my God. I'm embarrassed to be an American right now. Online commentators Hassan Piker and Biblioteca, I'm not even gonna fucking attempt that. Barred from entering the UK for public events. British authorities said Monday they blocked Hassan Piker, a Turkish-American online streamer and another political commentator, from entering the UK. Piker, a liberal political commentator, is frequently critical of US President Trump, has 2.8 million followers on Twitch. Can I just say, I believe that everybody has their freedom of speech, but it really bothers me that a person like Hassan Piker has the amount of money that he has and the amount of followers that he has, because all he spits is toxic vitriol. He doesn't have an agenda. He's literally he's literally just a hate monger. Like, when I saw him talk about shoplifting is okay, you're done. Like, shoplifting is never okay. Shoplifting is never okay. I agree that depending on what you shoplift, maybe the judge should show leniency at your sentencing, but shoplifting should never be okay. There should always be a punishment for shoplifting, but maybe not so much that we ruin your life with a larceny charge. He has an agenda, and the agenda is oppose all capitalist and American values. Right. This is... Yeah, it's not shoplifting, it's micro-looting. Thank you for correcting me. Let me say this. I get that we should be feeding hungry people, right? I agree. I think the 7 years I've been doing the show, I've stated, nobody should ever go to bed homeless or hungry, unless they choose to be homeless or hungry. But we don't even teach kids to read. How are we teaching them American values? I'm sorry, but when you start telling me stupid shit like indoctrination, the Pledge of Allegiance is indoctrination. No. The Pledge of Allegiance is important to start children with when they're young. So when they're older, their decision to not stand for the Pledge of Allegiance means something. When, like, forgive me, because the only real talking point I can relate to is religion, right? No, we should not be teaching options trading in high school, but we should be teaching stock market, IRAs, retirements, 401ks, matchings in high school, not options. Options, most people shouldn't be involved in options. For example, in Catholicism, your parents made the decision to baptize you. So, when you were a baby, and I know what some of you are going to say, well, Baptists do and this, no. I'm talking about Roman Catholics and only Roman Catholics. When you're a baby, your parents made the decision to baptize you. When you're about 7th grade, some schools it's 6th, some schools it's 8th, 7th is nice in the middle. You make the decision to go through confirmation. There are, every year in Catholic schools, there is usually maybe one kid who doesn't get permission to be confirmed. Because during confirmation, the religion teacher, which I was, we do a whole quarter-length unit on confirmation. And then you, at the beginning of that quarter-length unit, you pick your confirmation name. You write your paper, you do your research, you find your sponsor, which has to be a confirmed Catholic, and they have to be able to prove it. And then you talk to the pastor. The pastor basically interviews you. If the pastor, like the fucking emperor, says no, that's it. Your confirmation name. So, as a Catholic, you get your first name from your parents, you get your middle name from your parents, but as a Catholic, your middle name is your saint's name. Then you get your confirmation name, the saint you chose. So Catholics have a first name, a middle name, a confirmation name, and a last name. Only the Catholics do this to my knowledge. Now, some people might say, well, I'm a Baptist and I got baptized when I was about 7th grade. Yes, that is correct. There is a Baptists do something else for the younger kids, but their baptism is the choice they make when they want to enter the congregation. Now, how does that reflect to citizenship? Well, you were born a citizen. You're born a citizen. Having kids in preschool, kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, recite the Pledge of Allegiance, in my opinion, is very important. Okay? In about 6th grade, when the child's mind is developed enough that they can start thinking about 1984 Orwellian, Machiavellian politics, if they choose at that point that they feel that the Pledge of Allegiance is indoctrination, they can stop at that point, right? And there you go. You only went through confirmation because it would have made your grandparents cry. It was an empty process. But see, you knew you were doing it. You were doing it for a reason. You knew the reason you were doing it. But you made that conscious choice. You faked it for your grandparents, right? So that's actually a really good thing, right? Now, let me take you for a quick example, and I'm gonna liken that to patriotism. There is no law that says you have to stand for the national anthem. There's no law that says you have to put your hand over the heart for the national anthem. You do it because everybody else around you is doing it, unless you're Colin Kaepernick and you kneel for the national anthem. I think this bullshit that we've started doing in America, where we don't have the kids stand for the Pledge of Allegiance at 7 years old, is bullshit. Because they don't know if they want to stand for it or not. They're like, well, my dad told me not to stand for it. Well, great, your dad's not here. Get your ass out of the chair. You don't have to recite it, but you have to stand for it. Then at about age 6th grade, 7th grade, when we start teaching kids civics, if they choose to be anti-American, bad American, non-patriotic American, they have a little knowledge to support that. I went into the military. My parents, right? My parents were very pissed off that I wanted to go into the military at 18. I didn't go into the military until I was 24. It caused a big fight with my dad, and I was like, look, fuckhead, I loved every minute of being in the military. If you had let me go into the military at 18, my life would have been completely different, radically different. I would have had my full pension at 38. I might not have been crazy. I might not have been fucked up. My dad said, well, you didn't need to serve the country. I said, it's not about need, it's about want. Like, I make the joke with people. I'm not saying I'm more patriotic than you. I'm saying you're not more patriotic than me. I'll open up an artery and bleed on the flag if it needs to be made red again. So we can be equal, but you can't be above me. I love my country. I absolutely love my country. The problem is we got an awful lot of people like Hassan Piker living in this country who hate this country. It's real simple, man. Take your ass over to Turkey, behave the way you do, and see how long it takes for the Turkish authorities to show up at your house. It's really easy to be a shitbird in a country that protects shitbirds. It's really hard to be a shitbird in a country that doesn't like shitbirds. We have freedom of speech. He's Turkish American. Yeah, he was born in New Jersey, so he has birthright citizenship. The problem is, I think some of the things he says are good starting talking points. He also LARPs as a socialist communist, but he loves his $1 million mansion and won't share. Right, that's the thing about him that makes him a hypocrite. Anybody can choose to be a communist inside of a capitalist society. Nobody is stopping you inside of a capitalist society from living communally. Period. If you want to live in a commune, the Amish live in communes in America just fine. Guess what? Nobody fucks with them. I know multiple Amish communities. There's one, you go past my wife's uncle's farm. So you go to my wife's place. The horse ranch is my father-in-law's property. My father-in-law's property was divvied out between the three sons. He could have it all if he wanted to. The horse ranch is behind it. If you go down, the farm is, the uncle who has the farm is down that way. You go past the uncle's farm. At the edge of his farm is where the Amish territory starts. My father-in-law fixes the couple of bits of equipment they have, because the Amish can use, people are confused. The Amish can use technology if they're building things for other people. They can't use technology to build things for themselves. Even communists have their champagne class. He just doesn't realize it, that he'd never be part of that class if he lived in communism. Right. Hassan Piker doesn't realize that he thinks that in the communism, he thinks in a communist society that he would be one of those people chosen to be the leadership case, and he wouldn't be, because ultimately he's an idiot. He's polarizing. He's a radical left-wing commentator. Unless he touted the party line and did their bidding. No, because remember, as you move into communism, so you start communism here. You got the left wing, you got the right wing. As you move further and further into communism, these wings come together, because what you're arguing about no longer exists. There is no left wing and right wing. There is just, and that's what people don't get about communism. The party decides. If people haven't read 1984 lately, they need to. 1984 was the fucking warning about communism and socialism and authoritarian and dictatorialism, because in communism, you don't have the freedom to go against the party. Your brother is the same way. He donates to this Marxist group, but as cheap as he can be, if he has to pay myself and my sister back, then don't give him any more money. Period. Dot. Don't ever help him again. Tell him, if you're giving money to a Marxist group, then you don't have needs. Let the Marxist group take care of your needs. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I think the Chinese Americans got it right too. Chinese Americans. You're gonna have to give me a little bit more context of when the Chinese Americans got it right. I know the Irish Americans and the Chinese Americans got it right the way they came over and they took over certain areas. The Irish Americans, if you want a really great study of how the Irish came over, oh, they didn't trust the banks. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You want to know why the Irish are so powerful on the East Coast all the way to Chicago? The Irish didn't go everywhere. The Irish went to New York, Boston, and Chicago. They took over a ward, got the alderman, then they started moving people over the border into the next ward. When they had enough wards, they took the mayorship. They took the sheriff and then the mayorship. That's why Boston, Chicago, and New York were, yeah, the Italian Americans did the same. But the Italian Americans, they didn't want the mayorship. The Italian Americans wanted, they wanted everything at a more local level. And guess what? If you study Irish and Italians, the Irish and the Italians settle things really, really quickly. Either violently or somebody pays. That's the only two ways the Irish and the Italians resolve shit. They really do stay the fuck away from each other. They are radically different. Unless, like, the Irish and the Italians have a rule. We don't fuck with God. We don't fuck with church. We don't fuck with women. We don't fuck with children. Period. Dot. Women and children are out. Like, bunch of guys are picking on... 2 Italian girls are in the Irish neighborhood, and anybody is messing with them. The Irish guys go surround the 2 Italian girls, get them back to the Italian neighborhood, because then that's a sign of respect. Like, I'm not asking you for anything, but keep your fucking daughters out of our neighborhood. Because if something happens to your daughters in our neighborhood, you're going to blame us for that shit, and it's not our people doing it. So you stay on your blocks, we stay on our blocks. The Irish wanted the alderman, the sheriff, the mayor. The Italians, they wanted the beat cops. They wanted the low-level people. Different methods, same end goal. The banks are what caused the Great Depression. Yes. Well, the stock market is what caused the Great Depression, but it was the stock markets in the bank, the run on the bank. As I talk about, where people don't understand why prices are out of control now, it's because in the modern day, you trust your money in the bank is there because it's all ones and zeros now. If you really wanted to right now, you could get online and you could move all of your money electronically to a different bank and it would process in 1 to 3 days. But if you wanted to go to the bank right now and get all of your money in cash, most bank branches have a cap of how much cash you can take out because they have a cap of how much cash they even keep. The one bank only has $20,000 in it. And they won't let you take more than 10 in a single transaction. That is posted at their counter. We reserve the right to limit cash withdrawals in total to $10,000 per customer in a single day. They yell at me all the time because I go in there and I move money from one bank to another. All the time they want to give me a cashier's check, a counter check, whatever, and I say, no, I need the funds available immediately. So bank heists are no good. Bank heists are no good. It's safer, it's cheaper. Because remember, when a bank needs money, they pay a service charge to the Federal Reserve to get the money. Then they got to pay people to transport it. It's easier to have electronic ones and zeros. You have to order cash. Special order comes in a Brinks truck. I guess it depends on the bank if they'll let you take out a large sum of cash at one time. But some banks, banks will, but you have to give them notice. Like one of the jobs I did for the military was contingency operations. The bank on the base had $250,000 in cash at all times for us, for the military. That was part of the deal. We show up. They had a cellophane wrapped brick of $250,000 in the vault because we needed it for contingency operations. What if you give them advance notice? If you give them advance notice, if I walked into the bank right now and I said, hey, I want to take out $100,000 in cash, they'd say, give us a week. And this is going to be your service fee. Because we have to order that money, so you have to pay for the service fee. You're like, okay. Because what's the point? Only one time in my life have I seen over $100,000 in cash, and that was for the purchase of a house, because everything was getting all cocked up and stupid. So if you don't know this, don't ever do this. So if you have an account, right, even if it's an account in the same bank, so you have these 3 accounts, right? Don't move money between these 3 accounts if you're buying a house. I never understood the rules on how much cash you can carry when flying internationally. It's been a long time since I've flown commercially internationally, but I believe it's $9,999 that you can bring into the country. 10,000 or more, 10,000 or more is where they will, you have to start doing declarations, because then you have to pay tax on it or prove its source, its origin. Yeah, banks are required to convert your balance to cash. They are not required to do it instantaneously, and they are not required to do it for free. Yeah, but I saw one, my dad had moved some money and then it cocked up a mortgage. My dad was buying 2 pieces of property in the same time. Something got screwed up. And so he just went to the bank and he's like, fuck this, give me $128,000 in cash. They gave it to him. This was pre 9/11. They gave it to him. He drove to the title company. He set it on the table. He's like, it's all there. You can count it. And the title company was not happy because they had to fucking count $128,000 in their little count machines. But again, this was 1999, I think. But yeah, it's good to see Hassan Piker getting blocked from going places and spreading his hate. Now, if the guy would stop being so hateful, I would listen to some of his ideas. But he's just hateful. Jury deliberates in trial of South Carolina store owner who fatally shot black teen. Chai Kai Rick Chow, accused of shooting a 14-year-old, is escorted into the courtroom. Prosecutors have said the shooting was unprovoked, while defense lawyers have said he only fired to defend his son. Shot him in the back during a foot chase. That the teen stole 4 bottles of water. Okay, you shot him in the back. You're wrong. Okay, so Chow admits to shooting him. However, defense lawyers argue that the teen pointed a gun at his son, Andy, and the father fired 1 shot. They chased the teen more than 130 yards from the store. Well, okay. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen. Do not chase people. Do not chase people. You cannot chase somebody down. You cannot chase people down to recover property. You can, in some states, defend your property on your property. Now, foot stomp. You need to know your state's specific stand your ground laws. I can't know every state's laws. My state does not have any stand your ground laws. My state has a duty to retreat until retreat is no longer a viable option law. Meaning, if I'm upstairs and you break into my first floor, I have to let you steal the shit on my first floor. I can't go down and confront you. Now, you come up the stairs, we're going to have a different squabble. Even in the most lenient stand your ground laws, chasing 130 yards wouldn't be covered. Right, exactly. They even tell you that when you work retail not to chase. Right. Don't chase. A lot of that has to do from a Chicago case. 35 years ago, maybe. I don't remember how long ago it was. Best Buy employee, I believe, chased a guy out of a store. Guy was loading a TV into a van. Guy pulled a shotgun out of the back of the van and shot him in the chest. So. Yep. Come on, Bunny. I understand why you don't frequent Asian stores. I get why you don't do it. There's a lot of racism between Asians and blacks. Asians are not nice to blacks. I get it, 100%. It makes me uncomfortable seeing it. It really does. It's wicked bad. I'm not saying all Asians, but when you're in a place, it's wicked bad. I've seen it so bad in some Asian establishments. I've walked in and a black person has walked in behind me, where I've been asked if I need help, and the black person behind me can't even get service. Again, I've seen it. I'm not saying it's all of them, but I understand. And again, like, there's no need for racism. Like, I had my girls, for my wife, forgot what had happened. Oh, my wife got a Charlie horse. My wife got a really, really, really bad Charlie horse in her calf, or in her, in her calf and her thigh. So my wife decided to take the boat at Epcot across to America. So we were right at the top of the World Showcase. She took the boat. My girls had things they needed to do on the walk. So I said I'd walk them there. My wife got to the restaurant. We were eating at Teppan Edo. If you're ever at Epcot, Teppan Edo is expensive, but it's worth the money. There was no place for my wife to sit in her. She was rubbing her leg, and this very nice black woman said, "Why are you standing?" And she's like, "There's no free seats." The black woman had half of a bench. She's like, "Sit down." So they just start talking. And as you can imagine, I walk up, my two daughters, I have my dark as fuck Mexican daughter and my white as fuck Irish daughter. And the very nice black grandmother, black mother was like, "Oh, you have all shades of God's children." Yeah. There's no need for racism. We as people choose to be racist. So, not all of us. The people who are racist choose to be racist. We gotta stop that shit. In Japan, due to the issue with streamers causing trouble, some stores put signs up, "No foreigners allowed in the store." Yes. Also, there is a big problem going on in Japan right now, which I can definitely see Japan. I think Japan is going to be the first country that takes a big stand against Muslim immigration. Muslims have been emigrating
This is
to
your friendly
Japan,
reminder.
and they've been commenting about how Japan needs to accommodate their diets. This is the one. Hold on.
You say you love my dog.
And the Japanese are like, no, if you come to our country, you need to adapt to our culture. And people are calling Japan racist because of that. Look, man, it's a pork dish. It's a pork dish. There's no non-pork variety. You can't ask them to make a non-pork variety of a pork dish. It's just not fucking possible. Denmark, for a short while, started Muslim customers started walking a lot of it back because they started talking about what others would be allowed to eat as well. Yeah, and here's the thing. What I think is going to be a really, really, really dumb situation. So people are mad that Subway, maybe not Subway, let me not misspeak. I forgot which major organization, major food provider, they just said we have halal meat. And people are like, I'm not gonna eat there. Then don't eat there. It's that simple. It is that simple. Then don't eat there. Then simply do not. Then don't frequent the place. It's okay. You don't have to. Your national dish is pork belly fat. Don't even try and change that. We'll go to war over it. Yeah. McDonald's has had halal food for decades now. I didn't know that. Gonna watch one of the people that I definitely consider as one of my mentors. This guy, I think, is George Carlin is probably one of the most. The world is a worse place because George Carlin is not in it.
So I would like to tell you how I handle some of these speech issues concerning minorities. First of all, I say black.
One second. A little low on the volume here.
So, I would like to tell you how I handle some of these speech issues concerning minorities. First of all, I say black. I say black because most black people prefer black. I don't say people of color because it's dishonest. It means precisely the same thing as colored people, which is an insult. So if you're not willing to say colored people, you shouldn't be willing to say people of color. And besides, to me, the whole idea of color seems a bit specious, really. I mean, what should we call white people? People of no color? Isn't pink a color? And in fact, white people are not really white at all. They're different shades of pink and olive and beige. In other words, they're colored. And black people are rarely black. I see mostly various shades of brown and tan, and in fact, some light-skinned black people are darker than the darkest white people. I'm sorry, lighter than the darkest white people. Look how dark the people in India are. They're dark brown, but they're considered white. May I see the color chart, please? People of color is an awkward phrase that obscures meaning rather than enhancing it. What shall we call fat people? People of size? I also don't say African Americans. I find it cumbersome and confusing. Which part of Africa are we talking about? Egypt? Egypt is in Africa, but Egyptians aren't black. They're like the people in India. They're dark brown white people. But they're Africans. So why wouldn't an Egyptian citizen who becomes an Egyptian who becomes a U.S. citizen be called an African American? The same would apply to South Africa. Suppose a white racist from South Africa becomes an American citizen. Couldn't he call himself an African American? If for no other reason than just to bother black people. And what about a black person born in South Africa who becomes an American citizen? Is he an African American or is he a South African American? Or is he simply a South African American African American? You know, it's just so much more tedious liberal labeling. Liberals should be taught that labels divide people, and I think we could probably do with fewer labels, not more.
I'm tired of being labeled. I'm an American. I'm not an African American. I'm an American.
Oh, girl, don't set up your Twitter on fire.
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry.
My Lord. What did you just say? Stop.
In a candid conversation between Raven-Symoné and Oprah Winfrey, the talented actress made a bold statement about her identity, expressing that she considers herself an American rather than specifically identifying as African American. Her statement caught Winfrey off guard, as the media mogul took a moment to process the actress' comment while jokingly warning her, "Don't set Twitter on fire." Why was Raven's statement going to set Twitter on fire? Nobody knows but Oprah herself.
Nobody knows because, God forbid, that we start taking the right steps to tear down racism. Right? I see... When I was maybe, I'm going to say 19 and a half, I wrote a paper. I wish that I still had. I had a UMax laptop. I have searched through every backup, everything that I made. I wrote this brilliant paper. I just don't have it anymore. About how America was destined to have a civil war by 2050. We are ahead of schedule. Well, today I think that U.S. people believe all white people are from Northern European countries and blonde and blue-eyed only. Well, you see, that's a very good point, but where we run into the problem is I'm pale-skinned, I have blue eyes, but in America, I've always been considered white. But in Europe, Irish being white has happened in my lifetime. And I know some people can't get down with that. But you got your Portuguese, your Italians, your Greeks, your Irish, you got your pigs. Europe, not everybody in Europe was white. Until they needed more white people because we were adding in Eastern Europeans. Spanish, thank you. I'm like, it's right fucking there next to Portugal. Like, fuck. The problem that we have is that we can't get past some really basic bullshit things. And those bullshit things, my personal belief is nobody can be this stupid. So the people that are talking about reparations, I I believe the people that are talking about reparations are being paid to talk about reparations, to keep people divided. I think my answer to reparations ultimately solves it. I think my answer ultimately settles it. If somebody says to you, I think black people deserve slave reparations, say, you're right, they do. But so do the 350,000 Union families that lost a son or a father or a brother ending slavery. So the moment that we give you reparations, we're going to take those reparations right back from you and give them to the families that died ending slavery. Because I get it, and I'm not blind. I'm not blind to the idea, right? I'm not blind to the idea that people say, well, the ultra wealthy today built their wealth on slave labor. Sure, some, absolutely. What? Right? Should my family get their noble titles back in Denmark because we lost it for being against slavery before it was cool? Stop it. Right. Exactly. I mean, it's one thing to agree they do, but then how will they be paid? Who pays them? Right. Like, how far back do we want to go? Because it will end up a lot of it European people involved in Barbary slave trade. Right. Reparations will do nothing anyway. If you take all of the money in the world and divide it up equally, it will soon end up in the same hands. Right. I mean, Tampa Sports. Can we agree? I think Tampa Esports brings up the most important point. And I'm not trying to be condescending, but if you give me $1,000 and somebody gives you $1,000, I think there's something to be said about my $1,000 will probably turn into a lot more than $1,000. And some of you will probably be like, Jay, I need your help. I don't know what to do with this $1,000 to make money. I mean, think of it this way. There were an awful lot of people that got mad at me because I said, I don't understand cryptocurrency. I don't understand Bitcoin. I don't understand it, so I'm staying out of it because I'm not greedy. I don't need to make this cut of money. I'm okay with my cut of money over here. And there were a lot of people on my show that got like, well, you're just an idiot. You're not making that money. Yeah, and then there were an awful lot of people that lost their asses on Bitcoin. Not Bitcoin, Haktua Girl coin. There were an awful lot of people that were telling me, oh, Jay, you should get involved in NFTs back in COVID. NFTs created a lot of wealth for a very small number of people, and there's an awful lot of people holding on to NFTs that are worthless. It's like I say, I'm not greedy. My Roth IRA has produced $13,000 in 6 months. I'm okay with that. My Roth IRA, I don't ever need. My Roth IRA is for my kids when I die. Right? Don't give us reparations, but don't deny reparations and then reward people from January 6th. Okay, I definitely can feel your pain on that one. However, what happened on January 6th to a lot of those people was a violation of their civil liberties. Those two things need to be divorced from each other. Because slave reparations are a conversation we can have in an academic environment. But in a modern era, a lot of the January 6th people had their civil liberties violated. I think anybody that has their civil liberties violated should be compensated for it. Personally, I think that we need a federal standard for how much money you get automatically. If your conviction is overturned, there should be a standard that the state that wrongfully incarcerated you owes for every day you were in jail. Like $100 a day. Whatever the money is. Whatever we decide, that should be the federal standard. You've been in jail for 11 years against your will. The compensation is $100 per day, maybe $200 per day. Maybe we write a chart, a graph or something. But when people end up going to jail, some of those January 6th protesters, they were held. They had numerous civil liberties violated. Now, some people would say, but the slaves had their civil liberties violated. Okay. As humans, yes. But they didn't have civil liberties. They were property. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not making the argument that it's right. But what I'm saying is, so did indentured servants. And how do we fix that? Who do we give the money to? Who pays it? If we could fix the problem by paying it, I'd say we pay it. But we can't fix the problem. The trip was great. I'm going back in 3 weeks. I go so far as to say if you're violating someone's civil liberties in an outrageous degree, then no more worky and government stuff for you. Fuck your qualified immunity in those cases. Okay, let me talk about that for a second, though. Sometimes somebody's civil liberties get impeded not by a person, but by a process. And that's what should make people outraged. Sometimes your civil liberties are impeded, but nobody did anything wrong. So, for example, it's a Friday, right? And it's 5:13, and they bring you into the police station. Well, the bus for Friday arraignment left at 5. So you're stuck in jail until Monday at 0800. Now, on Monday at 0800, you get hit with a $1,000 bond. But you don't have anybody that can come post that bond. So your court date is set for 6 weeks from now. You're in jail for 6 weeks. That's it. Done. Now, 6 weeks from now, right? 6 weeks from now, Monday, the prosecutor on your case, well, they had a Friday court case. They had a capital case that didn't end on Friday. It rolled over to the next Monday. Well, all of that prosecutor's cases get rescheduled out for 30 days. So now you're in jail for another 4 weeks. Nobody violated your civil liberties. Bail is available to you. You just can't make bail. This is what I'm talking about. Nobody failed you. The process failed you. Like, you should be able to walk in when you're like, bail is $1,000. Your Honor, I'm pleading not guilty, and I want an immediate court date. Because speedy trial, what a lot of people don't understand is your right to a speedy trial the clock doesn't start until you have requested a trial. I watched numerous guys when I was an advocate, numerous guys that were pro se representing themselves. I would say, I'm not your lawyer. I can't give you legal advice, but I'm looking at your sheet and you've been on bail for 13 months. Go in today and ask for a trial date. They're like, well, I'm going to ask to be released because they violated No, they didn't violate any of your rights. Again, listen to me. I'm not a lawyer. I can't give you legal advice. But academically, I'm telling you, your right to a speedy trial doesn't start in this state until you ask for a trial date. It's why I said a major problem we have in America. 97% of cases are resolved with a plea bargain. A minor was held at Rikers for years while waiting for their trial over an accusation with no evidence. He goes to trial, case is immediately thrown out. Yep. It's like I told you, there's that lawyer up, I think it's Michigan. The lawyer up in Michigan has literally said, I am not taking any more plea deals because this entire system is broken. He takes on clients, he looks at what they're charged with, and he says, I don't think I'd be a good lawyer for you. Everybody else, he says, yeah, I'll take your case. He immediately asks for a court date. They cannot accommodate. He's got like 30 clients. It takes 2 days to impanel a jury. Each trial takes 3 or 4 days. He alone is, every time he's keeping the one prosecutor and the one judge. So I think his state is 150 days. From the day you ask for a trial till your trial date is 150. Well, every trial, 2 days to impanel the jury, 3 to 4 days on the trial, 1 day deliberation. So let's say 2, 5, 6. 6. He's got 60 or so clients. He alone would take 360 days. So every Friday he's walking into the courthouse and motioning for dismissal because you missed the trial dates. How fucked is our system? You can just ask for a trial without a jury, can't you? Never ask for a trial without a jury. Asking for a trial without a jury is the dumbest thing you can ever do unless you have a highly irregular procedural case. But even then, let me show it like this. So in a jury trial versus a bench trial. Jury trial, the jury comes back with a deliberation, right? And then you can still ask the judge to set aside. So you get 2 bites at innocence. If you do a bench trial, it's only the judge, so you only get 1 bite at innocence. A bench trial, I only saw my mentor advise a client 1 time for a bench trial. I only saw him 1 time for a bench trial, and it was a very, very, very procedural error-filled case. And my mentor ended up winning the case. I didn't even understand half of the shit going on because during the case, Barry ended up, I think with the first witness alone, Barry had more than 50 objections. It was the type of case where there's no way to start the story. It doesn't, most of those don't pass probable cause, the probable cause hearing. This one did, but it only passed the probable cause hearing because in toto, when the judge read all the documents, the judge is reading all the documents because that's how the probable cause hearing happens. The judge has all the things in front of him. But then during the trial, you have to introduce each thing in a linear order. And Barry was just like, objection, facts not in evidence, objection, speculation, objection, fact not in evidence. One by one, they had no way to get everything into evidence because this person wasn't there for this, but this person wasn't there for that. All the reports together allowed the judge to see the probable cause. But on the first witness alone, Barry had like 50 objections. Barry didn't even have to put on a defense. By the time the prosecutor rested, Barry just stood up and said, Your Honor, I'm going to request a dismissal. There's no prima facie here. The conditions that are required for a verdict haven't been met. And the judge told the court reporter, I'm going to need the transcript. And the judge was gone for several hours, recessed till the next day. Then they came in and said, oh shit, yeah, it's dismissed. My niece and 2 friends are supposed to be going to Alabama this Wednesday. She's 19. Do you know if there's any laws or anything in Alabama to worry about? Yeah, there's a fuck ton of laws in Alabama to worry about. There's a fuck ton. Hands-free driving in Alabama, absolutely. You can't wrestle bears. You can't wear a fake mustache in a church. You can't put an ice cream cone in your back pocket. You can't throw confetti in Mobile, Alabama. You can't open an umbrella in Montgomery, Alabama. You can't put salt on railroad tracks. Don't let them play dominoes on Sunday. You can't sell peanuts after sundown in Lee County. You can't drive the wrong way with a lantern. Also, I think in Alabama, you can't have sex in reverse cowgirl because it's against the law to turn your back on family. If they're all girls, make sure that in public that they don't have. If they're all girls, make sure that they don't. In some parts of Alabama, they don't want to have public displays of affection, girl on girl. Hey, grumpy old man, I got a bone to pick with you. What the fuck is with the people in Atlanta? What the motherfuck is wrong with people in Atlanta? Picture it, Sicily. 1984. The day is May 20th. I'm driving in Atlanta on May 20th, about 2 weeks ago, and the rain starts coming down. What the fuck is with Atlanta drivers? They all stopped. They didn't even take their foot off the fucking brake and just go along at 5 miles an hour. The rain was coming down in buckets, and I get that, but these motherfuckers turned the expressway into a parking lot for like 40 fucking minutes. Do people in Atlanta not drive in the rain? What the fuck was that about? Like, Jesus, man. Like, come on. I mean, I get it. The rain was kind of bad, but put your flashers on, take your foot off the brake. Let's at least roll 5 miles an hour, can we? Oh, shit. Atlanta traffic is something else. Most are probably running on zero tread tires. Atlanta is something else. To be fair, wait, it's actually better that they stopped. Otherwise, they would just be go. Okay, so if you've never driven in Atlanta, and Grumpy Old Man will tell you if I'm lying, right? The people in Atlanta, the fucking speed limit is a suggestion to them. I think the fucking number on the side of the road, I think that's the total number of cars they believe they can hit. Atlanta's fucking crazy. Atlanta also, before I gotta go because I gotta leave for a doctor's appointment, Atlanta is a fucked up place where there'll be an on-ramp right here, right? I love it. I love me some Atlanta. Right? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4 lanes, right? You got 4 lanes. And you're merging onto it. Right? Now, instead of having this merge into this, and then this merge into lane 1. No. All this goes in. And then less than 2 miles down the road, right? 2 miles. 2 fucking miles. You have to go from here across 4 lanes of traffic. 2 miles. 2 miles. Do you have any idea how hard it is to cross 4 lanes of fucking traffic in a dead standstill in 2 miles? Somebody, holy fuck. With no one letting you in at all. Yeah, Philly has that in 400 feet. I remember Philly. Been there a bunch of times because flew into Philly to go out to Jersey. Yeah, good luck, everybody else. Oh, and the best part is, guys, I forgot to tell you the best part, and Grumpy Old Man will tell you I'm not lying. There's also a road over here. So all the cocksuckers over here that have no reason to be in lanes 4 and 3, they're trying to cut over 4 lanes of traffic, go the other way. Atlanta, I am honestly surprised that the number on the side of the road isn't the number of deaths every fucking day at this one interchange when you're coming into Atlanta from the north. It seems like they need a roundabout there. No, what it seems like they need to do, right? Because what they need to do is they need to fucking have signs that say all the people over here, right, need to be over here, and then they need to build an overpass, right? Because over here, you would never do this loop, because back here, about right here, and there's no other on-ramp, you can go to this. You can do the Atlanta bypass, right? So it's not like anybody in this merging lane is getting on and going right. They bypassed about 6 miles prior. They need to do this piece as an overpass, and then that way half of the traffic will be gone. But I need to get out of here. I need to drive back into town. I have another doctor's appointment. I have one on Wednesday. I have stuff on Thursday and stuff on tomorrow. I'm going to try to get some other shows in as I can. And then I'm going back to Disney in a couple of weeks. So I will see you guys. Make sure you keep your, don't start. Yeah, I got to get that Disney tan. This is about my Disney tan. Make sure you guys keep your canned good and shotgun stopped up. I'll see you guys Wednesday.
I wonder if the organic meat sack that runs this channel knows a lot of these sponsors don't sponsor us anymore.
They were longtime sponsors. The credits are fine.
Do we get paid? Is any of this sponsorship money for Gail, Daisy, the Chaos Fund?
You are a figment of Jalan